Offense role adjustments under the United States sentencing guidelines recognize that different defendants may have varying degrees of culpability in criminal activity. These adjustments seek to differentiate between defendants based on their roles as organizers, leaders, managers, supervisors, or minimal or minor participants. The sentencing guidelines provides for upward adjustments in offense levels for defendants who are organizers, leaders, managers, or supervisors in a criminal activity. The degree of the adjustment depends on the size of the criminal organization and the defendant's level of responsibility within it. A 4-level increase is appropriate if the defendant was an organizer or leader of 5 or more participants. A 3-level increase is applied to managers of criminal activity involving 5 or more participants. And a 2-level increase applies to any organizer, leader or manager of any other criminal activity. Factors to consider in determining whether a defendant was an organizer, leader, manager, or supervisor may include, but are not limited to, decision-making authority, extent of participation in the crime, the recruitment of accomplices, share in the fruits of the crime, and the degree of planning participation. The guidelines provide for downward adjustments in offense levels for defendants who are minimal or minor participants in the criminal activity. If the defendant was a minimal participant in any criminal activity, decreased by 4 levels. If the defendant was a minor participant in any criminal activity, decreased by 2 levels. In cases falling between these two roles, decrease the offense by 3 levels. Factors to consider in determining whether a defendant was a minimal or minor participant may include, but are not limited to, the defendant's knowledge of the scope and structure of the criminal activity, extent of participation in planning and commission of the crime, and the degree to which they benefited from the scheme. These adjustments aim to recognize that some defendants have a limited role in the criminal activity and should be held less culpable than the average participant. In summary, offense role adjustments under the sentencing take into account the varying degrees of culpability of defendants based on their roles in the criminal activity.